If you are as familiar with English history as I am, you have no doubt heard of Harold Godwinson, the last Anglo-Saxon king of England, who famously fought and died in the Battle of Hastings against the Norman invader who would come to be known as William the Conqueror. What you may be a bit surprised to learn, however, is that Harold Godwinson was not the eldest son of Earl Godwin, nor was he the initial heir to all the titles and lands that doubtless helped him later become King of England. That title initially fell to his older brother Sweyn. But what happened to Sweyn, and how did it come about that all his inheritance fell into the hands of his younger brother? Well, that is the question I'm going to be answering in this video, with the insane life and many exiles of Sweyn Godwinson. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Unfortunately, just like his brothers, not much is known about Sweyn's earlier life, but it is believed he was born in around the year 1020 to the extremely powerful and influential Earl Godwin and his wife, Geitha Thurkelsdottir, who was a Danish noblewoman with great connections to the then Danish King of England, Canute the Great, as her brother was married to the king's sister. The first real facts we have about Sweyn come in 1043, when the by now fully grown man was raised to an earldom, which included Gloucestershire, Herefordshire, Oxfordshire, Berkshire, and Somerset. Strangely, there is actually some evidence that earlier in his life, for some reason, possibly because he thought it would benefit him politically, Sweyn claimed to be a son of King Canute rather than Earl Godwin. However, his mother angrily denied these claims and brought forth witnesses to his parentage. What witnesses means in that context, I can only imagine, but that's besides the point. Tracking back to his earldom, the location of these lands almost immediately brought Sweyn into contact with two rival kings of Wales, whose names I will not even try to pronounce. It seems that almost immediately upon obtaining his earldom, Sweyn sought peace with this one, the King of Gwynedd in northern Wales, which allowed him to gain the upper hand on his main Welsh rival, this guy, King of Deheubarth. Sweyn supported the aforementioned King of Gwynedd with much more than words of alliance, however, as in 1046 he joined in on an invasion of Deheubarth in southern Wales. On his way back from this campaign, it would be the first time Sweyn would land himself in hot water, as on the way back he abducted Eadgifu, the abbess of Leominster, who, for those who don't know, an abbess is essentially the female leader of a community of nuns, apparently with the intention of marrying her and gaining control of Leominster's vast estate. However, when King Edward obviously refused this, presumably with some anger, Sweyn fled England to take refuge with Baldwin V, Count of Flanders, in modern-day Belgium. During this first exile, Sweyn initially went to the aforementioned Baldwin in Flanders before moving on to Denmark, where his mother was from if you remember, before eventually returning to England in 1049 to beg for forgiveness. Funnily enough, it doesn't seem like this was entirely up to him, as it seems he was actually exiled from Denmark as well for an unspecified offence. Upon his return, his brother Harold and cousin Bjorn first opposed his return, as they had both benefited greatly in wealth and power in Sweyn's absence. However, it seems eventually Sweyn managed to convince his cousin at least to support him. But unfortunately for Bjorn, who was actually the nephew of King Canute the Great, this is where, in my opinion, Sweyn's greatest sin was committed. For as Bjorn was accompanying Sweyn, with the intention of meeting the king and begging for a pardon, Sweyn took Bjorn captive before sending him by ship to Dartmouth and killing him and burying his body. The reasons for him doing this are a bit unclear. However, I think it's fair to speculate that one of his primary motivations would have been to secure his old lands, for when Sweyn was exiled, his portions of his previously held lands had been granted to both Bjorn and Harold, who both refused to concede any upon his return. Whether that or something else was his primary motivation is lost to history, however, and that is just speculation. Regardless of Sweyn's motivations for this kinslaying, it predictably resulted with him being exiled once more and condemned by the king as a man of no honour, which was quite a big deal back in those days. This is not where Sweyn's story would end though, as it seems that somehow, despite his many crimes, he was once again pardoned in the following year 1050 and even restored to his office. Some say it was his father, Earl Godwin, who was the most powerful noble in England at the time, who pleaded his case to the king, while others say that it was Aldred, Bishop of Worcester, who met him in Flanders returning from a pilgrimage. In any case, his last day in England would not last for long. In 1051, not long after Sweyn's return, Earl Godwin and all of his sons were exiled from England following a dispute with the king, with Sweyn not surprisingly receiving the harshest judgment of all, and was exiled for life once again. Once more, Sweyn travelled to Flanders, though this time he would never return to England. It appears it was at this point that Sweyn began to feel some sort of remorse for his sins, as he decided to undertake a barefoot pilgrimage to Jerusalem. It was on his return from this pilgrimage that he was killed, however sources differ as to where and how. I've seen people saying he died from illness, while others say he was killed by bandits all around what would now be modern day Turkey and Anatolia. Nonetheless, Sweyn died and returned from his pilgrimage at just 32 years old, leaving behind only one son named Hakon, who was said to have been a hostage in Normandy held by William the Conqueror until he was brought back to England in 1064 by his uncle Harold, but nothing more than that is known of him. Well guys, I think that's where I'm going to end this video. I know this has been an especially long hiatus from my channel, and I do apologise for that, but I do intend to begin uploading at least once every week or two for the foreseeable future, so would love it if you guys stuck around. Anyways though, with that being said, as always, Hope you guys have a great day, night, wherever you are, and I hope to see you in the next one.